Hello everyone, welcome back to our Accounting 210. In this video, we will continue with the chapter 6, cost behavior. Last time, we basically talked about the variable cost, fixed cost, and then the mixed cost in terms of the total cost and then each cost per unit. So make sure you read your textbook and then go back to your high school notes if you forget the basic regression equation y equals to Vx plus f, right? Total cost equals to the variable cost plus the fixed cost. So make sure you know those things, terminology, what's the meaning of slope, what's the meaning of intercept, and then the constant. So those things from your notes and then from the textbook. So today we continue with our learning objective. We will start the learning objective 3. We focus on the scatter plot to analyze cost behavior. So you don't need to look at the textbook about account analysis. We only focus on the second part. What's the meaning of this? I believe you all have seen this before. Basically, you just draw a dot, kind of you have this X, you have this Y, and then you kind of do survey, you get the results, and then you just put this in the scatter plot to get a line. So if from this, let's use this as an example, you can kind of find there is a trend, right? General idea is if you have more guests, so our X is the volume, number of guests. So if you have more guests, like if you have 25,000, I make up a number around 25,000, and then your total utility cost will be high. If your volume is low, your total utility will be less. So you can even use your eyes, you can observe there is a trend, there is a relation. So then we can just say, hey, they are positively related, right? Positively related. More volume will have higher utility cost. So this is what you will get from the scatter plot graph. But let's look at the proper concept. It uses the Y and then use the volume for the X. So total cost will be listed in the Y and the volume will be on the X. Why we do this? Well, I showed you the example, right? How will that help you is it helps us to visualize the data, the relationship between the cost, which is the Y, and the volume and the X. We can say using our eyes, hey, X goes more, if you go to right side, it's more, then Y goes up, it means also more. So you can visualize the relation. If there is a linear pattern, so that means a strong correlation. We can say that it's kind of, you can say, oh yeah, right, it's correlated, right, it's correlated. But if there is just a random, it means little or no correlation. Outliers, it's just abnormal, the data point. What's the meaning of random? So from here, you can see a linear relation, right? So I can even draw a line. I use my pen, I can even draw a line. So kind of you can see a line, right? Sorry, it's not that straight, but you get the general idea, right? So it's a line. So that means they are positively related. What's the meaning of random? What's the meaning of a random pattern? So random pattern is, there is no relation or very weak relation. How will that happen is if this is the X, that's the volume, and then this is the Y, the total cost. So basic idea is it's very random. It's just a random. It's like this. You cannot draw a line. You cannot draw a line. Hey, you cannot observe a line, right? You can put a line here, you can put a line. You cannot really observe a line. That will be our random pattern. That means there is no or little correlation. So linear can be strongly positive or can be strongly negative. So the positive we already saw, right? So this is X, this is Y. So you can say those dots should be kind of like this. So you can draw a line. There is a linear positive. There is a positive linear. On the other side, you can also observe a negative. So I can give you some example. So let's say, but the general idea is the dot will be like here. So you can say a linear negative relation. So what's the example? Let's think x goes small, things goes down. Okay, so think about this. The temperature and the heater, right? So temperature goes up, higher temperature, the hotter the weather is, the less heater will be sold. So if it goes 100 degrees, then only 10 units of a heater will be sold. But if it's just 50 degrees, you will have 100 heater. So those are negatively correlated. You can say still a strong linear correlation. This is just a random, right? We say this is just a random. You know, it's random. There is no pattern you cannot observe. What's the meaning of outlier? It's just abnormal. So you can say from here, they are around here. But if there is a dot all the way, let's say if there is a dot all the way here, then that will be the outlier. This is the outlier. This is not the normal range. Some terminology you want to know, but this is not really our focus of the chapter. I'm not your math professor. I'm not your statistics professor. I just want to give you some review of what you have already learned in other classes. So as I say, how do you draw this? How do you get this scatter plot graph? Basic idea is you do a survey or you observe your history data, and then like this, we review our last year. We found out all this data. We said, hey, January, our gas volume is this much, and then we also have our data of the utility. So this will be our X. And this will be our Y. Make sure you really know what we are doing. Hey, listen, my students, hey, pay attention, okay? Do me a favor, listen here. Our Y is always the cost. Remember, we focus on the cost. Our class is called like cost accounting, manager accounting. And the X is the volume. The X is the volume. So our focus in this chapter is we want to know what will cause our cost change. So this is our focus. We want to say, hey, this is the cost, the total cost. And then our X, and also even variable, no matter variable or fixed, this is our cost driver, right? So this is our cost driver. Remember, we said even for the manufacturing overhead, you have the direct labor hour or machine hour. So this is the same. We want to say how the volume, in our example, is the guest, the number of visitors, the guest, how this will affect our total cost. So our Y is always the total cost. The Y is always our cost, the dollar amount. The X is just the volume. You know, the miles you drive, the guest that goes to our hotel, those things will be our X, our cost driver. So based on our last year, we found out that, okay, so January, X is 13,250, then Y will be 114,000. Then if you have that, you just draw a dot, right? You draw a dot. I don't know, I didn't check, but I just assume January, this is January, February, March, you know, those things. So you draw these 12 dots, you will observe this trend. So that's what you will do for the scatter plot graph. Okay, got general idea, and we focus on our main thing in this chapter. You definitely will have a multiple choice in the exam one from high and low method. So pay special attention to this part. What we are trying to do is we say, if you draw this 12 dots, it's a lot of work. And then like me, I'm not that hardworking. I'm kind of lazy. I said, can I draw a line based on 2 points, right? Based on 2 dots. If you learn the math, you know, hey, if you have 1 dot here, you have 1 dot here, then you can draw a line just based on these 2 dots. You don't need to have all the other dots. So that's what we are trying to get. We have 1 point which is high, and we have one point which is low, like this. This will be the high part. This will be the low part. So we have these two parts, then we can draw a line. You got it. So our job is to first find the high and the low, and based on these two dots, we draw a line, and that will be our linear regression. We feed a mixed cost line through the highest and then the lowest volume data points. We find the high and the low in terms of our x. In terms of our x. Hey, repeat this with me. In terms of x, because some students will focus on high and low y. That is wrong. We focus on the high x and the low x. Okay, repeat. We draw the line based on the high and the low x. Okay, now let's look at the example and how do we do the numbers. We still have this data, this is our x. Make sure, hey, this is our x. Make sure what we are doing, what is x, what is y. Cost is always our y. The volume is always our x. Our focus one more time is how will our cost be affected by the volume, right? So the volume will be our x, the cost will be our y. I stop here, and then we do the detail in next video. I don't want to make the video too long, but remember we said high and low in terms of, I want to hear your answer, x, right, in terms of x. So first job, you need to look at these two columns. This is x. We want to find high x and low x. We don't worry about y now. We find high and low x. You do me a favor. Hey, you are younger than me. Which one is high and which one is low? Do me a favor. Tell me. Put your answer somewhere. Highlight it. And check your answer with me in the next video. I see you there. Thank you.